7. Maria kind of fucked Kieran first. Steph knows about it. It was a pretty big deal when it happened, and Maria has been sporadically remembering, wincing, and trying not to feel like an asshole ever since. What happened was that he started working at the bookstore a little over a year after Maria started injecting estrogen, when people she didn't know were starting to read her as a woman most of the time. He is trans too. He's pretty into it. For Maria, being trans is like, here is this shitty thing I have to deal with, but Kieran, it's like, fuck yeah, being trans, alright. Trans guys seem to have this relationship to being trans a lot more often than trans women. It's understandable. Sometimes trans guys come out of radical activist dyke communities where having a punk rock gender is like, or is kind of like chic or whatever. Whereas for trans women, this tends not to be the case. When they come out, trans women tend not to have the analysis that comes from having existed in a queer community where people talk about gender. The mistake some people make is assuming that this means trans women never put together an analysis. There's also a thing about cultural norms about masculinity and femininity that everybody internalizes and the kind of light that throws on the different directions of transitioning. But whatever, who cares? It's hard to explain. Maria's been mentally outlining a zine about this kind of about the stuff that will lay it out clearly and solve everything since like before she started transitioning. So Kieran started working at the bookstore, read Maria as trans, and decided to be her friend. It was great because Steph knows queers but gets anxious, and Maria doesn't talk at parties, so neither of them have ever been particularly enmeshed in a queer community, but Kieran was. That fucker knows everybody. You'll be like, oh, Judith Butler's written a new book, and he'll be like, oh, I threw her over a table and fucked her at brunch once. And you're like, really? And he says, no, but I did have her come read at my school when I was in college. So they became friends. They ate together. It was a new relationship, even though it wasn't supposed to be a makeout relationship. They talked about stuff. He explained stuff to her. He loves to explain stuff. And she was like, oh my god, here is a person that knows the real smart truth about transitioning. Gender truly is a construct. Eventually, you can't help but figure out that while gender is a construct, so is a traffic light, and if you ignore either of them, you get hit by cars, which also are constructs. They fucked in a Burritoville bathroom. He managed to kind of fuck her with a packer in a tiny, dirty yellow bathroom downstairs in the Burritoville on 2nd and 6th. She managed to keep her skirt on the whole time and not to let him touch her junk. She certainly didn't come. Maybe he did. There were greasy patches on the mirror, and since the bathroom was so small, she pressed her face against it. It was... Well, sorry, fuck. She pressed her face against it while he kind of fucked her, and then when they left, there was grease all over her cheek. It was hard to wash off. She was like, cool, punk rock, degradation, kinky sex, how queer and great. That was her sleaziest moment. It seemed like, from then on, she'd be building a body of work about the interesting sex she had. But those stories never really materialized. That time at Burritoville, that was pretty much it. She's thinking, I think I just don't get sex, while she shoulders on her bike and starts climbing stairs. Maybe one day, when my $700 of savings become 20,000 and I can afford bottom surgery, I'll be able to get past the inevitable shut-off point and actually enjoy it. Can't wait. She opens the door, and the cat isn't in the kitchen, which means she is probably in the bedroom with Steph. Kieran probably isn't here. The cat hates everyone except Maria and Steph. The cat appears and rubs her little black head on Maria's leg. Hi, cat, she says. She opens the fridge, which is empty, prolonging her own anxiety in a really familiar way. Like if Kieran were in Maria's bed with her girlfriend. Not that Maria owns Steph's sexuality or anything, but it would be pretty stupid for her to be in the kitchen in a scarf, one glove on and one glove off, thinking about her middle of the night stir fry, while he was in there spooning her, getting his sweat and cum and lube all over Maria's blankets. Ew. Steph sleeps pretty deeply, so Maria walks down the hall, all 3 feet of it, because this is a New York apartment, and cracks the door. She's asleep by herself. Maria goes back to the kitchen, finishes her little bottle of whiskey, accidentally leaves the kitchen light on and the refrigerator door open, and passes out on the couch. At 4 or so, she wakes up all headachy and sets her phone alarm. Steph had called, kind of a lot of times, turns off the light, closes the fridge, and goes back to sleep on the couch in the kitchen. So bohemian.